What's the weirdest thing you've done with your sew? Please like, subscribe and comment so I can create more videos for you. I drank way too much Everclear with my friends one night and started feeling insanely sick. My boyfriend knows I'm terrified of throwing up, so he stood over me and started listing off really gross things. I cried in sheer terror and puked really hard, and felt better instantly. He cheered really excitedly and started chanting one more time. One more time. He's a good boyfriend. This makes me really happy to read. I have terrible emetophobia as well and I know this would help. The closest I've come to something this nice was when my friend, who I was in love with at the time, rubbed my back as I threw up. She later threw up all over me on a vacation, so, exposure therapy. Occasionally I hold out both my arms with the palms of my hands facing each other, just a few inches apart as if I'm about to clap. Instead, I say fish me. My sew then sticks one hand in between mine and slaps it about against my hands. I don't know how it started. I don't know how it will end. My wife and I went shopping for a new perfume. My wife can't smell. Or at least every smell and taste is muffled. So I was tasked with deciding which perfume she should buy. At the store the perfume lady took a tester, sprayed perfume on it, handed it to my wife who directly handed it over to me. I sniffed on it and declared, "No, that's not you. That's too pink." The perfume store lady seemed a little bewildered, but went on to the next bottle. The next one was too fruity, or orange or red, and we finally settled for a bright green and blue smell, fresh, herbal fragrance. Dart. Meanwhile the perfume store lady was totally confused and asked in all politeness if we were screwing with her. So we told her how I always describe smells with colors to my wife so she can have a sense of it. Best part of her constitution, she only notices the vibration of the couch when I rip one. If I leave the bed to poop at night, my wife starts singing working on my night poops to the tune of Bob Seger's Night Moves. Not that weird but I love it and her. Sometimes after holding hands my partner will shake my hand and say something dumb like a solid business transaction, put her there in her best impression of a businessman. She thinks it's funny to do the same thing with my erect penis whenever we're in the shower together. I do not find it as funny. Edit. I guess I should clarify that I actually do find it funny and endearing but that having your penis jerked like it's a hand is an odd sensation. That's all I meant by the last line. I had an ex that we would do this, but we had narrowed it down to the most businessman-like thing to say good job on the Waterman account, Forrester. Every night for close to 8 years now, I rattle the light on the nightstand, and my wife makes a completely absurd face and I turn the light off. There are a lot of nights where we giggle about how odd she can make her face look. I won't turn the light off until a face is made. Probably not the weirdest but definitely weird. She made me sit down naked and stretch the skin on my balls out and shined a light through them to see the veins and stuff. This sounds like something I would do. He did, however, upon my request, let me blow into his foreskin to see if it would blow up like a tiny balloon. It did. I was satisfied. P.S. In case you're North American, we're European, and it's not common to get circumcised here. And I've been told is normal in North America. We waxed each other's butts with a home waxing kit. We just wanted to know what waxing was like so we bought a kit at Walgreens and really went crazy with it. As weird as it sounds, it was actually kind of a sweet moment between us. We hadn't even been together a full year yet and I had never been so intimate and vulnerable with another person before. But he didn't make fun of me or make me feel gross, he just did it. Then I repaid the favor and we both enjoyed our smooth butts together. I remember feeling so comfortable with him after that, like I could trust him with anything. Edit. I'm talking the exterior and chasm of the butt. Also, we're still together. And thanks for the upvotes. Second edit. Use olive oil, baby oil, or mineral oil to get excess wax off. We now have a tradition of keeping a bathroom spider and feeding it. Our apartment has an ant problem. Despite keeping things tidy and using poison, we still get ants a few times a year. One day, I found a harmless house spider in the bathroom and started dropping ants into its web. It was entertaining and got rid of ants, so I told my fiancé about it. It developed into us both feeding the spider and watching it feast together. We'd laugh when an ant accidentally got dropped on the spider and scared it. I mean, to be fair, if food just rained from the sky on me, I'd be scared, too. Bathroom spider the first disappeared after I accidentally destroyed his web while cleaning, but we have bathroom spider the second that just showed up a couple weeks ago. Sometimes when I go in for a kiss, my wife opens her mouth all the way open and like eats my mouth instead of kissing me. It took me a few times before I realized how to get back at her, and it really freaked her out the first time I did it, but now I just blow as hard as I can into her mouth when she does it. Kinda weird, but it's a fun little game. We narrate our dogs in different accents. He does a French accent for our male dog and I do a Spanish accent for our female dog. No idea why those were picked, it just kinda happened. The worst is when someone comes to your house and gives your dog a voice, but it's obviously the wrong voice. Walked 5 miles to an IKEA, just so we could say we went IKEA in Sweden. Not together anymore due to unrelated reasons, but that's one of my all-time favorite memories. My ex and I were long distance for a few months before we got involved. During that time, we ended up getting competitive about who could eat the most spicy food. Mind you, we weren't together before she left, and only got close while we talked online. So, when she came home, I invited her over, cooked, etc. At the end of dinner, I pulled out this spicy salsa, and ate a big heaping spoonful. Being the competitive type, she did the same and quickly realized that the stuff wasn't a joke. After about 2 spoons each, we were both clutching our stomachs in pain. I eventually ran out to get some Pepto-Bismol. It really didn't do anything but make our puke pink when we both decided the best answer was to stick our fingers down our throats and vomit. Still, got laid. A year and a half we were married. My wife and I love hot sauces. I just blew like $100 for 10 different bottles. She has a better tolerance than me and I'm not supposed to eat spicy stuff much anymore cause ulcerative colitis. The hottest one we had was an extract called plutonium number 9. Sat at 9 million Scovilles. I can't spell today. She was cool. I almost died. Edit. Someone even pointed out got versus hot. Damn autocorrect. He changed my pad for me. I was incredibly sick with the flu, coupled with the fact that I was on my period, so I was super miserable and fatigued. I was on the toilet trying to change my pad by myself at first, but then I guess I fell asleep or passed out. When I came to, my sir was in the bathroom and asking me where I kept my pads. I told him and he proceeded to change it for me, get me cleaned up and back in bed, put my meds and water on the bedside table and tuck me in. Then he went and made homemade chicken noodle soup. My sir is an absolute son. Edit. I honestly just thought this comment would have been buried. Thanks for your lovely comments. My sir is really an amazing man. Married almost a quarter of a century, this is what love looks like. Romance, sexiness and fluttery feelings are great, but almost anyone can that. But when the person with the worst gag reflex in the house repeatedly empties your bath bucket because you're too weak to get to the bathroom, that's love. Whenever I'm just standing around, whether I'm cooking or just anywhere in my BF's vicinity, he'll come up to me and aggressively dry hump me, aggressive and rough to the point where I'm knocked forward with every thrust, for like 3 seconds just to annoy me, because it surprises me, and then walk off like nothing happened. I do this to my husband and he will lean his butt in and yell, "Oh yeah. Fuck me harder, Steve. I'm female." Sometimes my Sue and I will do this competitive thing where we scream into each other's mouths to see who can last. It's like a weird sort of open mouth kiss and we stare bug-eyed at the other as we do. We mostly do this in front of friends when we want to get a cheap laugh. I always initiate it. Edit. Usually this act lasts at about a few seconds, but I say competitive because we increase our own volume before he ultimately wins. One of my high school friends would just randomly scream in his girlfriend's mouth while making out, and then act like nothing happened. Was all fun and games until she thought she had schizophrenia. I, for one, love to suddenly suck all the air out of my GF's mouth while kissing. I imagine it feels like what being sucked by a Dementor from Harry Potter would feel like. We were laying in bed after spending some quality time together. She gets up to sit at the foot of the bed and I realize I have to release a massive world-ending fart. I try to roll out of bed and leave the room like a gentleman. However, she wants to spend some extra time with me, so she jokingly pulls on my dick as I try to roll off the bed. Her foot then kicks into my ass from amusement and opens the Stargate into a separate dimension. At that moment, I unleashed some WWII Geneva Convention banned chemical warfare directly in line with her open mouth. She gagged and vomited a little, then we both crumpled over and laughed for a good 5-10 minutes. Edit, thank you so much for the gold. We both got equally excited about shopping for sweaters for the cat. I think I broke him. His kid started calling the cat our brother. What have I done? Sliding our soapy wet butts against each other when we shower together. Do it. It's fucking awesome. Holy shit, my wife and I have been married 3 years and do this every day when we shower together. We have only missed a shower together a handful of times since then. But whenever we rub our soapy butts together she asks, but friends, and I reply, forever. It's really stupid but makes us laugh every time. For whatever reason, we wanted to see whose mouth could hold more liquid. She filled her mouth with as much water as possible and baby birded it into mine. Mine was bigger. The people at Panera thought we were weird. Thought to myself, okay I follow, but lost it on the last sentence. XD do you, bro. I would clean my ex's ears with Q-tips. I know you're not supposed to, but oh well. This wouldn't be so bad, but he never cleaned his ears and asked me to do it after months of him not cleaning, leading to the most disgusting looking Q-tips I've ever seen. I just did my partner's ears with drops and proper tools and I'm now obsessed with doing it. It was so satisfying, but even he thinks I'm super weird for it. I was grabbing her butt and she was super not having it, and threatened to climb up and fart in my face. I told her she didn't have the balls to fart in my face. She did. When our daughter was 3, she sat on her father's head and farted in his ear. And X200B, I laughed so hard I gave her $1. Fair exchange for entertainment. I had the urge to lightly bite her knee. Found out it's a very weirdly placed erogenous zone for her and she feels weird now. I do it from time to time and it's only gotten more sensitive, so now it tickles her, but only if I lightly bite it. For me, back of the knee is a very sexy part of the body, so I fucked my girlfriend's. We lubed it, then she bent her knee and I fucked it. It wasn't as pleasurable as I thought. I guess I just like looking at it. We never tried it again, but every time my girlfriend says she thinks her legs are ugly I remind her how I wanted to fuck them so they definitely don't look ugly to me. Watched out for cars coming while she had horrific diarrhea on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. Advice: do not leave the house for 24 hours after taking Dulcolax. Once upon a time, I was hospitalized with kidney stones. They installed a stent while awaiting ECSWL. Google it. Anyway, to remove a stent, there's a string tied to it, and at the appropriate time the doctor yanks that fucker like he's starting a lawnmower. It's not a procedure I can recommend. About 8 inches of string hangs out of the urethra, and is taped to the penis for later. I removed the tape and had sex with my wife, then GF, in the hospital room bathroom. IV pole in one hand, string-filled dick in the other, banging your sweetheart on a toilet. Love is a beautiful thing, isn't it? My boyfriend let me aim for him while peeing once. I asked if I could help as a joke while I was in the bathroom for something else and he's like, oh, it wasn't a no, and I'm the type to play chicken in the how weird will you let me get sense. So I took hold while quietly repeating, I help. Okay, I help periodically. It's a lot harder to aim than it looks. So my wife isn't the only one. The first time was difficult because I'm one of those guys that can't pee with anyone watching, much less helping. But after 9 years of occasional assistance, both her aim and my shyness have gotten better. We do this thing where I stare at her longingly and she ignores me constantly. It's been like this for 2 years. My ex had this weird fetish. She'd dress up as herself and act like a fucking bitch all the time. We were with a bunch of friends in the park, drinking. I had to go pee, so I went behind a bush and squatted down right on a nettle. My entire ass and vagina on fire. To relieve the pain and to stop the itching, my boyfriend spanked me continuously for at least 10 minutes. It helped though. Sometimes we lift up our shirts and put our nipples together. She's shorter than me so she has to lift her boobs up and squeeze them together so our nipples line up, and we close our eyes and go wom 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 wom. That's how aliens have sex. Edit. Boobs not books. Edit 2. My god, this blew up. I figured this would get buried but I'm pretty sure it's become my most updated comment and now I have my first gold. Thank you, kind stranger. This is the first one that I couldn't picture more than one couple doing. Good job, weirdos. We wrote our names on the wall by sticking our marker pens in our belly buttons and swinging to right. I know it's completely normal to be there to help your wife in sickness and in health, but it will never not be strange having to help her spray medication insert preparation H to relieve her hemorrhoids. My girlfriend and I have mating dance. You raise your hands to either side of your head, palms forward, elbows bent stiff, and then violently shake them side to side. If the other party doesn't respond with the same right away, you step up to swaying your head side to side with your hands. It continues to escalate until you're just standing there shaking your whole body. I realize now it's like extreme jazz hands LMAO. Usually we respond to each other quickly, but I like to throw it at her when she's doing something. Then she frantically tries to rush whatever she's doing, like eating, drawing, cleaning, talking. We do it mostly when we're by ourselves nearby, but sometimes we'll do it from opposite ends of a room around her parents and family LMAO. It makes us laugh but also it's just another way of saying I love you. Also, not as weird emo, she lets me pop her back zits and I'll let her tweezer pluck my beard. We pretend like we think the other can't see us in public places to embarrass each other. Like he'll be at the water fountain at the mall and he'll start waving his arms wildly and get more and more frantic to get my attention even though he knows I see him. We're a little weird. One time when we got home from the bars and both had to pee, she sat and peed, but spread her legs enough to let me pee between them into the toilet. I knew she was the one. We dressed up in shitty 70s sweaters and took photos in front of the Christmas tree holding our cats like babies and looking slightly to the left. It was hideous. But now we have a tradition of doing really shitty photos. Edit. I did not expect this to be popular. It's really stupid, but we love it. Yes, these photos got sent to all our family and friends. This year we are recreating a scene from the Matt Smith Doctor Who Christmas special with him as the Doctor and myself as Clara. Anyway, here's the photo. OP delivers. I'm the girl lol. Christmas photo, album on the web page. Miso and I always make the most ridiculous Christmas card pictures with our cats. My favorite one, I'm wearing a shirt that says Merry Christmas with my cat giving a full on they're fucking doing this again. I just want food face and the other cat wasn't dealing with being held and hid in the tree but we happened to take the picture just as he was poking his head out. Real life spagged moment. Here's the close up of his face. Imgur, the magic of the internet web page. Edit. I'm sorry guys, the full photo was never put on my Imgur and is stuck on my old laptop that had a full can of Sprite spilled on it a few weeks ago. If I can ever get it to turn on again I'll personally message everyone the pic. Had an adult conversation about conflicting feelings I was having that led to us being stronger as a couple. We compete for first boop of the day, but neither bed boops nor car boops count because bed boops are too easy and car boops are dangerous, and we have competed for first boop of the year, F-body. Edit. A boop is when you poke a nose softly with your index finger, and X200B F-body is very important and prestigious. If you lose first boop, you have to wait till next year for a chance. No best 2 out of 3 or any of that nonsense. I have won F-body 4 out of 6 years that we have been playing. The first year we did F-body, we practically fought for the boop and almost tripped over ourselves, poked our eyes out in the process. Plus it made the New Year's kiss very tense because we each wanted to win first boop immediately after the kiss. So now we have a rule that F-body can't actually be on the 1st of January or any day in the beginning of January that we are officially celebrating New Year's, because it makes New Year's ultra competitive immediately. God. Me and my so do this, though not the boop of the year, just boop of the day. Since we first started living together the list of things have increased. Boop of the day, a boop on the nose. The om of the day, like a boop, but you have to effectively eat their nose while making an om sound. Swiggity swooty, I'm coming for the booty. Just have to touch the booty, though this can be counter-swiggeted by touching their booty instead. Ibledable, I'm coming for the nipple, you have to twiddle their nipple. I'd like to add that she came up with that one. If you get all 4 before the day is done, you proclaim I win the day, for you have won the day. My husband and I have a ritual where every night after he gets out of the shower he approaches me naked and allows me to cup his balls for 10-30 seconds. It's completely non-sexual and I can't even remember when we started it, but it's a nightly occurrence now and I get upset if he doesn't let me. My boyfriend likes to grab my boobs and jerk them like horse reins while screaming yee-haw. Edit, spelling. We have a game we play when we shower together. It's called Slimy Worms. Basically we both lather up and then squirm on each other like a couple of worms. I have asked every girl I've been with if they will hold my dick while I pee and pretend like it's a fire hose. So far no takers. Edit, asked my GF, she said WTF is wrong with you. Man, I've had a GF that did. They make you clean it up after they can't aim. One time we went on vacation in a coastal town and got absolutely shit-faced together. Our hotel was in a walking distance, so we went back after our shenanigans. We both hopped in the shower together and I sat on the floor because I wasn't feeling well. I jokingly said that she should help me throw up, and without missing a beat, she shoved her finger down my throat and I threw up all over both of us. Best place to be at that moment was the shower, so it all worked out. Edit, to answer a few of your questions, yes, we are getting married. I can't wait. Edit 2, thanks for the gold. And, silver. Thanks for the silver. We would pretend to not know each other when standing in line at bars or restaurants. And X200B, one of us would try hitting on the other, while the other feigned non-interest. Me, hey girl, you come here often. I'm kind of attractive, so we should date. Oh, that's great, yeah, you're really something special. We tried to get the people around us to step in and white knight to protect the uninterested party, but we never got that to happen. Sometimes, we'd even make up unorthodox criteria that had to be met before we'd agree to go on a first date with the other. I only date men who are shorter than 5'5" but wear elevator shoes that make them look taller. LMAO, this is great. I pretend I don't know my husband at the grocery store. When he tries putting things in our cart I yell, "Sir, for the last time stop putting your groceries in my cart." We were out for a walk and it was drizzling, so there were a bunch of earthworms out on the sidewalks. He says, "If you really love me you'll eat one of these worms." Picked one of those bad boys up and down the hatch. He was shocked as hell. 18 years and going. Didn't a guy just die from eating a slug? Not saying those two things are the same, but maybe skip the crawly things for dinner. Cute story though. We've been married for 4 years. Every night after we are done cuddling and turn opposite ways to sleep we press our butts together and make kissing noises. Like our butts are kissing each other goodnight. My best friend and I of like 7 years used to do this in middle school, early high school, but differently. We'd sleep facing away from each other and press our butts together and say we could pass our dreams through them. We called it butt dreaming. An ex of mine once woke up, grabbed my morning wood, and whispered preparing for takeoff, and moved it like a flight stick. I have yet to have another girl make me laugh at my own penis like that. And no, she wasn't a pilot, and neither am I. Edit. Holy fuck, I just woke up to this thing exploding. Top comment is now about my penis, and obligatory thanks for gold. I like to take it a step further and have the chopper lose control due to returned gunfire from the tree line while frantically toggling the flight stick and simultaneously trying to sing Fortunate Son from Creedence Clearwater Revival, for that numb feel. She was short and had triple Ds. She got down on all fours and I pretended to milk her like a cow. It was hilarious. Edit. Trust me, your comment about my username is unoriginal. My ex and I had a weird little competition that endured 6 long years. Whenever we showered together we'd try to sneakily start peeing on the other one without them noticing. Bonus points for finishing completely, or getting M while facing each other. I could only really get him while he was shampooing, but his parts gave him an unfair advantage, so he def won. For almost 3 years my ex and I took on the personas of Born Big, a baby who was born in an adult body, and Miss Koala, a talking koala. We almost exclusively communicated in character. Sex got really weird. Only a handful of choice friends and family members knew about it. We fought crime together, got Miss K a singing contract, and constantly fended off baby rapists and poachers. We even saved the world a few times from a group of scientists that wanted to use the big gene to create an army of mutant kangaroos. We would go weeks at a time without having a conversation based in reality. It really distracted us from the reality that we were terrible for each other. Boyfriend bought a Voltic-shaped dildo. Put the pieces together. Also, I in no way know what a wolf stick looks like. They're my favorite animal, but not that much of an obsession to where I want to know how their veins look. If that adds weirdness, I'm sorry. Put the pieces together. I'm sure he did immediately after opening the box. We got super high one night and downloaded the PDF of the Cheesecake Factory menu and then continued to laugh for hours at how many pages and options there were. Hours. As someone who works there, I can confirm there is a ridiculously long menu. I'm used to using pads when on my period because the thought of sticking a tampon in just scares me for some reason. Whilst on holiday, we had a diving session booked and I was on my period, so wearing a tampon was the only solution. We were in the bathroom for 15 minutes as my so tried to shove a tampon in me while I resisted and screamed. For your information, you can use lube if it's the feeling of dry cotton that puts you off. It might help. It's embarrassing to admit, but I sometimes pretend that his penis is a worm attacking pube town. I grab it and start wiggling it around. He finds it amusing and I enjoy being weird, plus I come up with new plots every time. From 2007 to early 2011 I had a girlfriend. I have this hair mole on my chin on the left side. She used to pull the hairs out with her teeth. I never really realized how fucking weird that was. Is it weird that this is apparently my hard line? Never mind the porta potty bracelet or the puking in the shower or the hemorrhoid inspection. Teeth tweezers are gross to me. Indoor snowball fight after getting toe up on tequila shooters. Good snow day. Took too much shrooms, had a terrible trip. He forced himself to puke thinking he could sober up faster and help take care of me. I never want to do shrooms again, but I know even in a wildly crazy mindset my husband cares so much for my well-being. Edit for those asking. We took too much, 2.5 grams, and I have stomach issues. Actual diagnosed issues, not from the shrooms. So the pain was much worse for me, hence the worst trip of my life. That sounds terrifying but also heartwarming. How much did you eat and was it your first attempt? Shrooms is the one thing I told my so I wanted to try before kids. Ha. He was dealing with really bad hemorrhoids for almost 2 weeks and he was absolutely miserable. I told him to drop his pants and lean over the bed and I pulled his ass cheeks apart and inspected them and gave him a full report. Edit. My most liked and active comment, and it's about my boyfriend's asshole. He is gonna be thrilled lol. Not really sure if weird. We would sneak into hotel breakfast buffets and go to town on the waffle maker. On our honeymoon, My wife and I went snorkeling and a jellyfish wrapped itself around my arm. It stung horribly. When we got back to our hotel she peed all over my arm. We communicate in screeches, animal noises and what the fuck was that's for extended periods of time, and it's to the point where certain noises have consistent meanings. That is, a high-pitched parrot squeal means I would like you to pay attention to me, and a low throaty gurgle means I'm okay with this option but I would prefer something else. We can go 4 hours without actually talking though. This is gonna be really buried, but I have a weird obsession with putting my finger in his belly button, nostrils, He figured out that I do it when I'm anxious, so now he makes me a little hole with his hand and Chinese finger traps me when I'm having an anxiety attack, and I sit there happily with him holding my finger. Edit. Thanks for the nice comments guys. He makes me very happy. This thread reads like many heartwarming examples of truly close soulmate relationships. I can only hope I meet someone that throws up on me in the shower one day. Sometimes my husband and I will pretend we're brother and sister in a public place, and then start being physically intimate. He'll loudly say, "Where are mom and dad?" I'll respond, "They are on the other side of the store," and then he'll grab my butt and we'll start kissing. My wife makes a penis hot tub for me in the shower. She'll cup her hands together, let them fill with water, and I'll let my junk rest in her hands like they're in a little hot tub. It's warm and feels rather nice. Edit. Thanks for the gold, kind stranger. By popular demand, I had to charge up 2 old phones to see what my previous gross notes were over the last 5 years. I've curated the best. Here we go. Let's smush slits. It's called deflowering because you part the petals of my labia. Put your little Red Riding Hood in my goodie basket. This one needs a bit of background. He hates nipples, the word, the concept, me touching his. He was telling me a heartwarming story about summers spent at his grandparents' house, how much he missed them, how they formed his childhood. I listened attentively as he described how his cousins were all there, the fun they had etc. Then I leaned over, caressed one nipple and swiftly said, "Were those there? Were my nipples at my grandparents' house?" He was furious. "How's your sex organ? How's them dick and balls? I can't wait to see that glistening head, burn a train, go to Choo Choo Tunnel. Gonna give me a taste of your special baby formula. Suckling noise, let's make fuck living the dream." I like to wait until he's just about to fall asleep and then whisper weird pseudo-sexual things into his ear. If they make him grossed out enough to say "for fuck's sake," then I add it into a list in my phone and date it for posterity. Examples: where's that money meat? Gimme that beef whistle, let's wiggle that wiener about. See if we can't get it to squirt something fun. He, in return, likes to ruin all the songs I like by changing the lyrics to be about our pug. For example, "Boys of summer, I can see you. Your fawn fur shining in the sun, you got your tail curled up. Pink harness on baby, I can tell you, your love for food will still be strong. After the bowls of kibble are gone, we have our fun." My husband finds a way to turn most lyrics of a song into something sexual. I can't remember any examples off the top of my head, but now I'll forever be hoping he makes up a song about our animals. Pugs of Summer may be the best parody I've ever heard. I sang it in my head and the flow is spot on. We constantly make up and sing songs about anything with each other. The songs range anywhere from how much we love each other to the smell of our farts. Neither of us are good singers. We do many weird things. That's just one of them. My ex-girlfriend would, as she called it, yawn rape me, which involved sticking her fingers in my mouth every time I yawned. She did it for so long that my body physically stopped yawning no matter how much I needed to. It was horrible. I had to have a serious discussion with her about stopping. One time I yawned and my cat stuck her whole paw in my mouth, so I get it. XGF took Ativan at night to go to sleep. I didn't know it caused constipation. At one point she was in so much pain because she couldn't shit. She's bent over the bed begging me to give her a suppository, which I have never done. Spread her cheeks open and there is this huge turd, vomiting now thinking about it. I pull it out and insert a suppository. Ugh. He was trying to make me laugh while eating me out, so he used the goofy voice, but the vibrations in his mouth when speaking felt really good, so I'd moan even louder after every goofy phrase. Yeah, that's up there. We started yelling in each other's mouths mid-makiad and burst out laughing seconds later. And then again. And again. My girlfriend and I are pretty weird, but sharing air definitely takes the cake. Essentially it's seeing how long two people can breathe off of one breath of air passed back and forth. It started smoking weed and passing hits, and then we decided to see how long we could go with a fresh breath. Lol. Our record is 10 or so exchanges. Let's see what you got. I actually had to look at an art piece in my drama class that was exactly this. Imagine two noses blocked, and two mouths suction to each other, so each breath gets progressively more CO2 and less O2. I said they are taking each other's breath away. Class got a good laugh, but I don't think that was point of the piece. Aha. We have what we call mlem wars. We will try to pin the other down and mlem their face, then blow on it to make it cold. I have no idea how this started, but we love it, and have created various moves and techniques to aid us in our ongoing battle. The love mlem is a cruel attack, as you believe your partner is leaning in for a kiss, but actually all you'll get is a swift towing up the cheek or down the neck, followed by a gust of cold air and a victorious giggle from the mlemmer. The cow mlem is a somewhat of a nasty attack whereby you wet your tongue up as best you can, loll it out, and then proceed to wipe it over their face at a slow pace. If you've pinned them down so they can't prevent this, then it is particularly nasty, as it will be carried out slowly whilst making weird mooing sounds. Mlem wars since gave birth to us giving each other punishment mlems. Stop picking your thumb or you get a forehead mlem. For example. I'm just so glad I found someone as weird as me to enjoy this with. Edit stop not stock. And thank you for making my highest ever upvoted comment be about me and my fiancé pinning each other down and mlemming each other like cows. We didn't come up with this ourselves, but me and my so try to find a way to latch our mouths around the other's nose and then blow. It is the bizarre ass feeling for the victim, and absolutely hilarious to watch them choke on air for a brief second. For best results, employ this during intimate moments, like slowly kissing up the neck to the cheek before landing the killing blow. This usually kills the mood pretty hard, so be warned. Sometimes when we kiss, one of us would suck the other's tongue. Like just completely inhale it in like Kirby. Another is to suck their lips. Top and bottom. When we both think about doing this at the same time, we keep our eyes wide open until one of us gets too freaked out. My favorite is when I'd ask him for the biddy, South Park reference, when Randy tries to get the world record for biggest shit, and he'd let me suckle on his biddy the same way Bono did in the episode. There's a few more, but those are some of my favorites. We had a harebrained idea to play Bloody Knuckles when we were in college 12 years ago. Neither of us had ever played before, and it turns out it is extremely difficult to break the skin. She would rake her knuckles across mine, then mine across hers, ad infinitum. We did this for an absurd length of time, neither person wanting to be the one to give up. Eventually we saw reason AMD stopped, but our hands were bruised for days afterward. We have been together for 15 years now. It remains the most flabbergasting thing we've done together to each other. We'll bring it up on occasion and wonder why we were so fucking stupid. The hole in the tip of his penis reminded me of mouth, so I drew eyes and lips with a marker to make a face. Then we cut off the face of a girl's picture in a magazine and put the penis face instead. Made a great Snapchat story. My husband and I write messages and leave little pieces of art for each other made of my hair stuck on the shower walls. Well, I found out today my so really gets off to shoulder massages during sex. I mean, it isn't the weirdest thing compared to most of you guys, but it was kind of awkward doing circles with my elbow onto her trapezius as I'm slamming her from behind. I think folks just really get off to getting a massage in general. She's playing you. Babe, you know what feels real good during sex? Not the sex part. Wherever my husband and I have a bad argument and we're still irritated despite resolving the issue, we put on 15 minutes of intense music, grab 2 boxes of shields and have an all-out Nerf war. ends with both of us laughing our asses off and resolves the remaining tension. We spent about 5 minutes going back and forth making chicken noises while simultaneously singing the DuckTales theme. There was nothing leading up to this. And nothing said beforehand. We do a lot of weird shit. I made a Tumblr for the shit he says in response to something I said or did because I find him quite funny. He once said I was like Ted from Scrubs. Me and my girlfriend have the tendency to always get into a standing doggy position and just dry jump each other for a couple seconds before continuing with our day. My husband once got super shit-faced with his friends and they left him at our doorstep. He was so drunk that he couldn't pee properly, and I was afraid that he'd make a big mess. I propped him on his knees so that his dick was just above the toilet and helped hold him steady. Weirdest moment of my life. He doesn't remember that night at all. My husband and I are fucking weirdos to each other on a regular basis. To preface, if one partner is annoying the other, and they have been warned that there will be consequences, they cannot get mad when said consequences are enacted. We wrestle regularly but he pisses me off sometimes so I spit in his mouth. He used to get really mad at me when I would do that but now he just accepts it. We pants each other all the time. I lick his face when I'm mad at him in public. We will be making out and then just start doing weird things with our tongues like sucking on them or cleaning the other person's teeth, or seeing who can get their tongue further into the other's mouth, licking all over each other's faces. It's like wrestling, but with our tongues. I think his penis is hilariously fascinating. I have a vagina, so I play with it in a totally non-sexual way on a regular basis, slapping it against him, squishing it, moving his foreskin around. I've tried to fit his whole flaccid penis and balls into my mouth at once, unsuccessfully. Something a little weird but cute is my husband kisses my nipples every morning and gets really pouty if I fall asleep with a shirt on. I too have tried to fit my partner's flaccid penis and testicles into my mouth at once. I was also unsuccessful. We got high and went to the art museum one time. Since we couldn't have drinks, our mouths were getting dry as fuck. I left him to find the ladies' room and happened upon a water fountain. Score. I drank for myself and then, being the thoughtful girlfriend I am, I filled my mouth with water to bring to my man. I walked about 100 feet to find him, went in for a kiss, then filled his dry mouth with some nice cold museum water. What a lovely surprise. Apparently water doesn't stay cold when stored in a human mouth. He was equally amused and disgusted. Good times. My sir used to practice shifting a manual transmission by grabbing my erect penis. One night when my ex and I were a little high lying in bed we came up with this magnificent game where we would poke each other on different parts of the body and make animal sounds according to the part poked. Egg, nose equals neigh, shoulder equals moo, etc. We continued this while sober for the majority of the remainder of our relationship. After her grandmother's funeral we decided to honor the woman's final wish, to be buried with her deceased daughter and grandchild. Luckily she was cremated. We took the ashes to the cemetery. I grabbed a shovel from the car and dug a nice little hole and dumped them in. I didn't get too far down but I still can't believe I did it. My ex and I used to pluck each other's eyebrows and show off when we got a particularly large hair. I chewed a tortilla chip up and jokingly tried to feed it to my husband like a baby bird. He ate it. I've eaten food my son has held in his mouth and gummed a bit, and then gave to me to eat, when he was a baby. He just seemed so earnest and happy to share. My wife thought it was absolutely disgusting. My response was he came out of my dick. It's fine. I had to administer a flea to him once, if you know what that is. If you're reading this babe I'm sorry I had to lol. The day after I met my own so, I was hella constipated and had to get those fleet things. She texted with me and I kept her posted as to the status of, the post. We've been together for nearly 8 years, married for the last 5. I just so can handle this kind of stuff. The relationship has a chance. Especially if you can fart in front of each other. On one of those anonymous random chat websites pretended to be talking to each other, and the counterparty, in a made-up language until the counterparty gave up and left. Kept this up for a few counterparties until we got bored. I asked a buddy of mine and his wife for advice on how to resolve marital disputes. They gave me the weirdest advice ever. They said that whenever they're fighting, one of them will start acting like a cute animal, and it diffuses the tension because it's impossible to stay mad at a little kitten or puppy. I gotta say, if I was yelling and fighting with someone, and they started purring like a kitten, it would not calm me down. I am single and definitely jealous of all the peeing together with you so. I have trichotillomania, SP. And my so has really hairy moles, so I beg him to let me pull them out when they get long and gnarly. He used to give me weird looks, but now when I ask, he'll get up and help me look for tweezers. I am very easy to make gag with noises and smells, and sometimes my boyfriend will fake gag to mess with me. One day he and I were in bed and he started fake gagging right next to my ear. In the midst of that my hair got lodged in his throat, and now his fake gags were real gags. I threw up on the floor next to my bed and I rushed to the toilet, and so did he. I thought he was still messing with me and got mad about him rushing to the toilet. We both threw up in the toilet together and then started laughing hysterically about it. My brother was outside of the bathroom and asked if we were throwing up. I said, yes, and then with confusion and horror marked on his face he asked, then why were you laughing? My boyfriend and I still laugh about that. Play a game of tag where you can only get the other it by kissing them. It didn't take long for someone other than us to be it. We played Dungeons and Dragons together. Wow, this seems normal compared to all the other stuff here. I stood in the shower wearing hospital scrubs while my, now ex-boyfriend threw chocolate pudding at me to add the finishing touch to my Halloween costume as a proctologist. We sit around and pick each other's ingrown hairs. Sometimes we'll watch tiny kitchen videos, mute them, and play dramatic music and sounds in the background. The best one was artillery sounds, rain noises and shit, the Moonlight Sonata maybe. I used to have a pet name for my ex's penis. Not so weird, I know. But I would helicopter it around when flaccid and also position it to talk. Looked a lot like Kenny from South Park. Penis name withheld to protect the not so innocent. Though my username says otherwise, I'm a female. My girlfriend and I love to smack each other in the face with our boobs. She'll lay her head on the couch and I'll drop a boob directly on her face. Or, I'll sit down low and she'll swing a boob at my face. We both have pretty big boobs that are fairly heavy, and we try to do these things as hard as possible. I love her so much. I'm imagining the day that someone gets a black eye from this boob war. When my husband and I shower together, our previous house had two shower heads, we'd rub our wet soapy butts together back and forth several times and giggle. 3,595 comments as I write this. No one will read it, so I know I'm safe. It was her third pregnancy and a horrible constipation set in. Nothing would work and she was scared to use anything too extreme laxative wise that far along. I gloved up and did what people in the medical field refer to as digital manipulation. I fingered the poop out. I pulled it out like a man, cause that's what real men do. I've seen some shit in my life and this wasn't the worst of it. There, my dirty secret is out. This might be weird, but my GF and I are both relatively in shape, and something we both do for exercise and fun is boxing. So every couple weeks or so we get together and spar together. It's competitive and fun and hot to us, but I feel with any less context it's a little strange. Used to put things through my ex's hair when she had it up in a bun. Fingers, pencils, you name it. One time after a blowjob, I used his penis as a guitar and used it as an air guitar to play along to Bohemian Rhapsody. I would occasionally grab my husband's dick and tap it on my head like that scene in White Chicks, then use it as a microphone. He'd lose his hard-on because he'd be laughing so hard. This was with my last, so we're not together anymore. She left me this year. When I was young, My parents used to zabit me and my sister, which involves pushing your lips firmly against someone's skin, typically the neck, and blowing out violently, ensuring that your lips make a vibrating, farting sound. When we had been dating for a couple of months and had grown very comfortable around each other, I tried it out on her. It freaked her out and then she just had to do it to me. It became a regular occurrence, leaning in for the kiss, before you suddenly press your lips down FBR and then manic laughter ensues. I really miss her. Oh, I actually have a really good answer to this one. This was about 8 years ago when we first met. Bear in mind we were just weird 16-year-olds thinking we were really cool and quirky. So remember when chat roulette was a thing? It was mostly just weird pervy blokes, borderline pedos, trying to get nudes, but for some reason everyone I knew loved going on there. Maybe it was the randomness of not knowing what total stranger from across the globe you might suddenly be in contact with. Would not recommend now I'm older and less stupid. Anyway, my grandma was away for a month or so I was living at hers and taking care of her cat. I invited my so over and I bought some lovely chocolate orange flavored face masks, the type made of mud or whatever, thinking we could order a takeaway, have a nice pampered spa night and watch some films. We ate our food, had baths and put our hair up in the bright orange towels my grandma had in her bathroom. She always has to color coordinate things from each room and it's always some weird bright color. We spread the chocolatey brown fatter masks on our faces, then being the giggly excited teenagers we were, we started smearing it in patchy streaks all over ourselves. Then, all hyped up and giggly, one of us opened up chat roulette and we started dancing and bouncing around in the kitchen, doing our weirdest moves. At one point we dropped our towels that were covering our underwear. We must have looked mental. After all the excitement over how funny we thought we wore off, we closed down the computer. Then we thought about how it must have looked to random strangers on the internet. Two very pale white kids jumping around in their underwear in what basically looked like blackface with big orange towel turbans on their heads. It was an uncomfortable realization. Although the amount of take bra off messages we got, despite how ridiculous we were being, shows that there must be a lot of really weird racist perverts out there. We've come a long way since then. We were watching something called Celtic Woman on PBS for some reason. It was pretty good, and I said to Bad, this stuff is never around here or I'd go. 2 seconds later they air the list of venues this was playing at and Radio City Music Hall is on the list. I say it's fate, so we go on like a Wednesday. And that's the story of how two 20-somethings with tattoos and piercings ended up in a crowd of 60+ PBS watchers chilling out to Celtic Woman. For the record, the TV screens at Radio City were not on, so we could not see the detail in the ladies' costumes. Kinda killed it a little, but the singing and instruments were still good. And X200B, the other one, was at a wedding in Oregon. We needed to kill some time, so we randomly wandered through a town. We saw an art studio, so we walked in, and it was awesome. It was all volunteer artists carving animals and creatures for a carousel restoration. Some were just wood blocks with the design behind them, some were fully painted and lacquered. The artists were all going at their own pace, so plenty were more than happy to take a break and chat about their project. So trippy. And X200B, I thought of a third. I have a very specific healing routine when I get tattooed. When I got my full back piece, there was no way for me to clean apply A&E to the entire area myself. I would strip down and assume the position in the shower bathtub while my wife gently washed me. She would then pat me dry and apply the A&E, usually using the Buffalo Bill voice to say something about putting the lotion on the skin. Dressing up as vampires for a night on the town with our friends. It was not Halloween. The waitress at Denny's would always get nervous when 30 people dressed as werewolves, vampires and weirdos showed up at 2 a.m. Play with the other's hair. I have really curly hair and he likes to twirlers and make the curls curl into each other, make new ones, etc. He has a beard and it's pretty bushy. I like to try to make things stick in it. He's also a generally hairy man and I like to twirl his leg hairs into curls when he's wearing shorts. Throwaway BC, yeah. Sexually or otherwise. Sexually, we don't really do roleplay. We've been together since we were 14, so essentially all of our sexual experiences have been together, and we're adventurous, but not that kinky. For some reason, I was so infatuated with Kylo Ren after seeing The Force Awakens. So dressed up as Kylo, and I dressed up in Princess Leia's gold bikini. Yes, we know they're mother and son, and no, that wasn't part of it, that was just the outfit he wanted to see me in. So we bought these legit, cosplay level costumes, and he tied me to the bed, choked me, all of the things. It was awesome. We haven't done it again, though. Still a great experience. Not sexually, there's so many of these, honestly. We are a weird pair. I think this is sort of a common thing, but he and I completely have our own language, and we talk in baby talk a lot, which we both really hate when other people do it, but somehow it's cute when we do it together.